Arsenal Fan TV here. Well, unless you've been on planet Mars, you would not have known if you was on Mars that Arsenal are trying to buy Luiz Suarez. Suarez is, at the moment, Arsenal's #1 target. They put in that bid, £40 million plus a pound. Arsene Wenger, he's desperate to get hold of Suarez to have him playing up front. But somebody sent me a tweet this morning that really got me thinking. He said to me, what if we don't get Suarez? And it really got me thinking, because we're kind of depending at the moment on getting Suarez. Now, Real Madrid could come in and get him because they were interested in him to begin with. Liverpool might decide that they're going to hang on to him at all costs. Suarez himself might change his mind. Now, what would we do if that happened? So when I got that tweet, I thought, let me have a look at some of the alternate targets for strikers that Arsenal could bring in if we're unable to get our #1 target, which is Luiz Suarez. So here it goes. These are some of the targets that are still available that Arsenal could go and get if we're unable to get Suarez. Target #1, Jackson Martinez. Colombian international, plays for Porto, scored 26 goals last season, is one of the most exciting players in European football right now. It costs a lot of money. Apparently he's got a release clause of 40 million euros, but he does fit the bill. Wouldn't be as good as Suarez because he wouldn't be able to just come straight into the Premier League and hit the ground running as Suarez would be able to do. But he is a marquee signing, even though he may not be a household name around at the moment, say in the UK. But he is one of the most sought-after strikers in Europe. Currently, Napoli, I don't know where they're getting all this money from, Napoli. I know they got the money from Cavani, but they seem to have bundles of money after getting Higuain. Apparently, they're trying to get him as well, but he could be an alternate player to Luiz Suarez. Then, there's Roberto Soldado. Right, now, before I know what you're going to say, Tottenham are going to get him, and it does look like he's about to sign for Tottenham. 28 years old. Scored a hatful of goals last season in La Liga, Spanish international, natural goal scorer. I'm kind of hoping somehow that Tottenham don't get him because he is a very good player, plays for Valencia. As I said, does look like he will be signing for Tottenham, but if we weren't going to get Suarez, again, would be a good player to bring in. He is a top striker, although his price tag of about £25 million for a 28-year-old is a lot of money. I mean, once you buy him, that's it. You've lost all that money, basically. You know, you keep him for a couple of years, say, and it didn't quite work out. You'd be lucky if you got £8 million for him. So it'd be a big risk, but he is a quality striker. Then, of course, there's Wayne Rooney. Still available. Still making sounds like he wants to leave Manchester United. It's still all up in the air. It's still uncertain. Listen, I ain't even got to tell you. He's a quality striker. I mean, he's terrorised Arsenal for many years. He's having a rough time of it at the moment at Manchester United, but he is still a top-class striker. What, 27 years old? Guaranteed, if he came to Arsenal, that he'd be revitalised, probably get us 20 goals. Top-quality international striker who would frighten the life out of defences alongside our players like Walcott, and that would be brilliant for Arsenal. However, as you know, Chelsea are hovering, and when Chelsea hover, they got the big bucks. Plus, he may think to himself, well, Chelsea are more likely to win trophies than Arsenal. And, of course, there is the fact that he may stay at Manchester United. A lot of pressure being put on him at the moment to stay at United by Moyes and by Bobby Charlton and people like that. So we really don't know what will happen with that. But if he was available, another alternate, probably one of the best alternate strikers out there to Luiz Suarez would be Wayne Rooney. Then we've got Michu. Now, Michu last season came in as a total unknown, came to Swansea, scored some great goals for them. You know, he nearly got 20 goals for the season. I tell you, I've seen this guy when he came down to Arsenal, and he really, really impressed me. He's a natural goal scorer, and I think he's going to get better and better. And Yeah, I mean, he signed a new contract or a contract renewal the other day at Swansea, but if we've got 40, 50 million pounds floating around, we could easily go in there and dislodge him. We'd be able to give him Champions League football. And he would be a good player at Arsenal because technically he's an excellent player and we're a technical team. So another alternate, not as good, no, not in the same bracket as Suarez, but definitely an alternate player. Pablo Osvaldo is an interesting one, 27 years old, plays for Roma. Apparently he's looking to move away from the club, scored over 20 goals last season for Roma. A very good finisher, very physical player, very fast, skillful. A player that apparently Arsene Wenger has been very interested in. Yet again, another alternate. Again, not that marquee name like a Suarez or a Rooney, but would be a player who could come in and bring goals to the club. Now, the next player is very interesting. Leandro Damião plays for Internacional in Brazil. Just the other day at the Confederations Cup, if he wouldn't have been injured, he would have been the main striker for Brazil. Not Fred or Joe, it would have been Damião. They love him in Brazil. He's a player that Tottenham have been trying to sign for about the past 4 seasons, and he's turned them down every time. So we know he must be quite intelligent to do that. But he's a player, scores lots of goals. Brazilian international, is going to be starring for them in next year's World Cup. And again, would be a big name that Arsenal would be bringing in if they were able to get him. The only problem with Damião is that he's one of these South American players that seem to be owned by more than one person. And it's very, very hard to negotiate deals for a player like him. But if we was able to get a player like him, he'd probably cost us somewhere between 25 to 30 million pounds. He's only young. I believe he's about 24 years old. Damião, would that be the sort of name we're looking for? It would really piss off them lot at Spurs up at White Hart Lane if we got him. That is definitely an alternate player that we could bring in if we was unable to get Suarez. Last couple of players that are available that we could bring in as alternates is Loic Remy, Queen's Park Rangers. We saw him last season for Rangers in a pretty rubbish team. He scored goals. He used to be at Marseille, of course, before then. A player that, I don't know what to think of him. He is a very good player, very good goal scorer. Definitely not a marquee type signing, but could be a sort of player that maybe we may go for. Although he does have that rape charge thing hanging over him. Now, would Arsenal be prepared to take a chance with a player that, you know, we bring him in and 6 months later down the line he's in prison? So I don't know if that would happen. And then there's Demba Ba. Apparently we were interested in him last January transfer window. He ended up going to Chelsea. He is a goal scorer. He knows the Premier League inside out. He can run the line. He's a quality player. I'm sure he may be surplus to requirements now at Chelsea. Now that you know, they got Torres. They're also looking to get Rooney. They got Lukaku. Whether he'll be surplus to requirements there, I'm not sure. But could be a player that possibly Arsenal could try and move in and get. Demba Ba. It's not the romantic name like Suarez, but it is a striker that would get us goals. So those are some of the alternate players that I suppose we could go for if we were unable to get Luiz Suarez. I mean, when I go through that list, I still think, apart from, say, Rooney, Suarez is the player that we now that we've made that move, we've got to get this guy. I think it's all going to depend on if Suarez himself sort of angles the deal and, you know, starts to make up a lot of noise and say to Liverpool, I want to go, I want to get out there. Then I think that's when that deal will happen. But I think it's all down to Suarez. But looking at the list of alternates, Suarez would be better than all of them, I think. Maybe apart from Rooney. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens in this summer transfer window. Things have been very slow so far by Arsenal, but if they can get the Suarez thing done, it will be a real coup. Don't forget to leave your comments. You may have another striker that you've got in mind that you think is a better alternative than Suarez. If you know who that is, let us know. Leave it in the comments. If you agree with some of the targets, let me know the reason why. Let me know the reason why you think we should bring that person in. And, you know, don't forget we've got our T-shirts on sale. And don't forget the season's about to start. We're going to be back in action outside every ground, getting your comments after every game. This is Arsenal Fan TV. Thank you for tuning in.